Hello, everybody. It's a Wednesday night. Joining in on the Wednesday Night Groove. I didn't actually put Wednesday Night Groove into the description or the tag or whatever because it's really long. It's a lot of characters, and you only have so many characters when you're typing that stuff in. How's everybody doing? I'm also doing a little bit of a test right now too. Kim, how's it going? See, Mr. Patterson is here. Beth, how's it going? Apparently I will be joined by a guest very soon. We'll see what time they're working with. If they're working with I don't want to call it like standard employee time, or if they're working on musician time. Kelly's saying 3 characters in the video stream though. Oh, I see what you did there. See what you did. Tracy, how's it going? Jeremy, how's it going? We're doing one of these right now. We're seeing who's joining. Kim's saying good. The weather is amazing in Arizona today. That sounds excellent. It is. It's been gray in Toronto, I think, for the past little bit. And cooling down. I always felt like September 1st. I feel like summer's over, and the temperature's just been. It's been like the stock market. But yeah, it's been going down. Gemma, how's it going? Lee, how's it going? I feel like I'm stalling a little bit as I'm waiting for someone to show up here. Interesting. I don't want to say interesting topic today. It's kind of a sad topic today, but we're chatting a little bit about some more news in Toronto with some venues that have been closing, or they're in a position where they're most likely going to close. So it's been some interesting threads on Facebook with the Toronto music scene with some of those to see what's going on with them. So Beth's saying cold and dreary-ish here in Illinois. I miss Illinois, I do. A lot of good times in Illinois. Jeremy says aftertaste of Madison, temperature falls. That's also that one stings too, because we miss Taste of Madison. That is definitely fun times for us. Toby, how's it going? Good to see you. Jenna says she's doing good. She's doing her homework. How about you? I'm good. I've been doing a lot of editing today. I've been working on a lot of video stuff recently. And I almost say working on video stuff is way... When you're me, it's way worse than working on audio stuff. Because audio stuff, it's quicker to see where there's anything that you want to change. And you can quickly just go and make the changes and then export it and listen to it again. But with some video stuff, like sometimes, it's a video is like 10 or 15 minutes long. It's like working on a song that's 10 or 15 minutes long. So you're constantly needing to go through it and then go through it from start to finish. And so like you may make 2 changes and then you need to export it again. That takes a minute, and then, well, like 15, 20 minutes. And then you got to watch through it again, see if there's anything you want to change. So it's like the amount of time it takes to go through that stuff can take a minute. See, everyone from Illinois is all giving some shout outs in the chat. Caleb, how's it going? Oh, Caleb's got a question here. He says, hey, I have a question. Is racism and bullying as bad in Canada as it is in the US? That is a heavy topic. That is a heavy topic because, speaking from experience, when you are dressed in the skin that I'm in, you see things differently than some people might. I can't speak on the bullying part because I think it helps if you have kids or you are a kid to know what's kind of going on, because I know how bullying kind of took place when I was growing up. I don't think it's anywhere near what kids are going through these days, because like I would say even in school, it's like if someone was bothering you, if there's kids that were picking on somebody, at least when the school day is over, it's kind of over. And I think these days with bullying, especially like the last 10 years, it can be a 24-hour-a-day thing someone's dealing with. And especially if people are, it's one thing for people to call and, talk behind your back sort of thing, but I think it's another thing for bullying these days where like some people can see it all the time. They can see people poking fun all the time online, and just getting messages and getting harassed and stuff. So I think overall, I think everywhere could be worse for bullying than when I was growing up. But as far as the difference between Canada and US, I think that's irrelevant. I think it's one of those things where like it's just not good. Like it shouldn't be a thing about like which one has more or which one has less. It's one of those things where like it's all not good. So as far as the racism stuff goes, not to go too deep into that because there's a lot to unpack when you bring up a question like that. But I think with racism in general, in my opinion, with racism, a lot of it has to do with history. It has to do with culture. And if you can go back a generation or 2 generations and see what the norm was, and then what the next generation dealt with and what the norm was and where we are these days and what the norm is, I think you can see progression of how things are, especially with the world becoming a smaller place and people, different religions and backgrounds and cultures and languages, all kind of mixing together, especially when kids at a younger age that are getting a chance to actually meet people from different backgrounds. I think as far as the racism stuff goes, I think you need to look at, again, the generation before where people are and then the generation before that and see what the norms were and kind of draw your own conclusions of where, like what the progress actually looked like. Because Canada has its own set of racism based problems, even going into systemic racism. It's like, our Aboriginals here, it's like there's issues there that don't ever seem to want to be addressed by the government because there's a lot to unpack and there's a lot of truths that could be a tough pill to swallow for some people. So I don't know, those are two, it's right out of the gate, those are two pretty heavy topics. But Jeremy's saying it right here, love all humans. That's one of the things. I think it's the one thing that we're getting from this year in particular. It's patience and understanding with a lot of people. So a lot of people are in a tough spot these days. And if you're not in a tough spot these days, be very grateful for the position you're in. Because this has been a rough year for a lot of people. Just looking through the comments here. One second. Calebson, I get bullied because of my music taste and my fashion, and literally just for being smart. Never, ever, ever think it's a strike against you for being smart. That being said, I'm a firm believer in this as well. Ask a fish to climb a tree, it'll think it's an idiot. Everyone's smart in their own way at something. Everyone's pretty much good at something in their own way. So don't worry about stuff. I'm a big believer too. If you don't like the room you're in, get in a different room. And I think that's where you could look at it from the other end too. You talk about, you could be bullied online 24/7 these days. You can find people you have a great time with 24/7 online as well. I think there's a lot of, also like, growing up and playing online games and stuff like that. It's like, I was always able to find people that I got along with really well, especially in music. One of my good friends, which is funny because we've been friends for like 20 years now. A little bit of history. If anyone remembers a platform called ICQ, like ICQ, that was kind of one of our first chat platforms. And you'd add your friends from school and stuff, and you'd go home from school and you'd chat with each other. And I used that platform because I had a punk band at the time, and I realized that you could go into people's, you could search people by their interests. And I would go on there, and I would type in other punk bands that were kind of in the wheelhouse of my punk band. And we would type in, say we're playing Oshawa, so we'd type in Oshawa and type in, Dead Kennedys or NoFX or something, and hit search, and then you get all these people that would come up, and I would just click on them. It'd open the window, and then I'd spam like, "Hey, my band's playing in Oshawa on Friday. It'd be cool if you can make it out. Here's our," like I used to spam people, and when you're 17 years old, you have no shame with any of that stuff. And I was doing that, and I would go after school, and I would do that and spam people and make some fans, and like I always tell people too, like of the 10 people that I would message, like 4 of them you get no response, 4 of them would be like, "Hey, cool," and then 2 of them would tell you to F off. And I thought that was a pretty good ratio as far as like actually getting to chat with people. And anyway, so I ended up messaging this one guy, and he's like, "Are you just spamming people about your band?" And I was like, that's my type. And I'm like, "Yeah." And he messages back, he's like, "This is genius." And he started asking me more questions about what I was doing. And I would go home, and I'd be online, and then my new friend would be online too, and we'd talk about our bands, and we would just be like spamming people and chatting about recording stuff, because his recording is always way better than mine. He had better mic kit. He had better gear than I did. And so I was a little bit jealous of the recordings he was able to get, and then we'd be working on our bands and stuff like that. And so to get back, Caleb, you're talking about, interacting with people. It's like the world got really small. It's like, find people you enjoy being around. It's okay if you're just online with them. It's okay like if you're just texting and stuff. Not everyone can hang out in the same room all the time. But like, I've always thought about that as far as the circle that I'm in. Just, they always say your combination of your 5 closest friends. I don't see my 5 closest friends as often or at all, really. Exception being my lovely wife. I see her every day. But as far as that, like, just don't give negative people your energy. Don't give them your time. So it's really tough to do, but the more time you spend with other people that you enjoy their company and they appreciate you, I think the better your life's probably going to be. And one of the things I always thought was funny too, it's like if someone hates on you and you don't give them any energy, they're just fans. So hopefully that helps, though. That helps. Oh, I see there's a knock at the door here. There's a knock at the door. Mr. Dane Hartzell, everybody.
Oh, hey.
How's it going?
Good. How goes it?
Goes good.
I caught the tail end of that, and that is one of my favorite Mike stories.
There's like a part 2 to that story too.
Well, the part 2, I'm not gonna give that away, but I mean like the talk of you guys.
Who wants to hear part 2 of that story?
I do.
Okay, Dan, that's 1 vote. I'm just gonna wait for the chat here.
And I have I got to meet Caleb as well.
Just going through the chat here. Jeremy's saying someone's late for a meeting. It's music biz.
Yeah, I was... Honestly, you want to know what it seriously was?
What was it, seriously? Oh, you had to find something. There's a lot of history in them pants.
There's some years in these pants.
If those pants could talk.
I don't think they'd have a voice. They
would just tell you how much. They would just say, "How much time do you have?"
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Okay, so give him part 2.
All right. So part 2 of that story. So I had a buddy online. We're spamming people all the time on about our punk bands on ICQ, and it finally hit a point where like we realized we were gonna. There's a third part of this story too. I'm not gonna tell that. I'm gonna save that for like another time altogether. Anyways, I don't
even know if I know the third part.
The third part is a doozy. Anyway, so we finally have like a show together. I think we were playing in Streetsville, Ontario. It's around Burlington, and we finally have a show together. And it's like weird because like we've been talking for like months. We're like best friends because we're online. We're talking about recording stuff. We're talking about our bands, love for bands. we're the heavy lifters in our project. So like we kind of have our fingers in everything that's going on, and like we understand each other. We have that level of understanding as far as what's going on in bands, and we're both drummers as well. So we get this show in Streetsville, and we're there, and like I'm not saying like freaking out. I'm like, oh man, like we're gonna hang out. Like this is gonna be awesome. This is like the coolest thing ever. And like we get there, and he's like in like a crusty punk band, and then my band's like we're basically just the Dead Kennedys. That's
Now,
what we do.
for those that don't know, just in a split, like maybe one paragraph explanation, what is a crust punk?
Oh, crusty punk is like the vest and like a big band patch on the back, like an exploited band patch or crass or something, and like the studs and my
For
buddy
those
had
that
like
want to check and reference
huge,
something,
huge mohawk, like pants like Danes, but like more details on them. I
well, and
remember,
there's throw up and alcohol just soaked into the pants.
well,
But
it's just
anyways, check out the cramps.
yeah, it's
The
like it's
cramps would be a good
yeah.
good
So
crust punk.
they're
Yeah.
more crust punk, street punk. But anyways, I remember like we were chatting about stuff, and he was also like he was into fashion, so he would like make his own pants. So he'd like buy pants and like cut them up and sew them back to make them tighter. And I was always thinking like, how tight do they need to be? Because like in our band, they're not tight, but like in his band, they're like paint. So I remember he was telling like he was working on these pants and he was trying to put them on, and he would put these zippers in the side so that he could get his foot in and then zip them down so that they were around the ankle. And we were laughing because he put all his time into these pants and realized he couldn't get his foot, even with the cut
Even
through
with the
the
zipper.
He's like, he could get his foot through one of the sides. He's just like, oh man, this is not good because like you can't just add more pants. Like you've already committed to what's going on. So anyways, so we get there. He's all done up. He's got his big mohawk, and it's all great. And we're still like sitting at merch, and like we didn't say anything to each other the entire night. It was just like really weird. And then like literally the whole show, like you're at most shows, it's like 3.5, 4.5 hours you're there, and it's like we walked by each other and it was like,
Well, and also put it in perspective that like at those shows in especially in Canada, like there's not that many people in the room.
there's a good number of people at these shows at this time. This is early 2000s. So like there's still enough people that it's busy, but besides that, we're two people in bands that are sitting at merch together, and we didn't say a word to each other. Didn't say anything to each other. Show goes on, it's cool. It's like it literally like our conversations was like it was just like, you walk past each other or like, okay, you're up. And then as soon as we got home, it was right back to the computer. That was weird. That's like what we sent to each other. We just like got back online. I saw he was online. The little green light was on. Hopped on, 2:30 in the morning, getting back to Toronto or getting back to Peterborough. That was weird. Yeah, that was really weird. Let's not do that again. We didn't talk. And I'm like, I know this was super weird. So anyways, it was funny. He was at my wedding. Dane, I think you might have met him there.
Okay, I have to address what I said earlier. I said that I met Caleb, but it was because I meant to say I met this guy.
Yeah.
But I was reading Caleb's comment on the side here. But yeah, no, I remember that because that I remember at that point meeting the other end to that story.
Yeah. No, there's yeah. Anyways, his name's Keith McLast name. I just call him McLast name because it's easier to spell than his real name.
Well, and Caleb's asking how old we are.
I'll let Dane go first.
Well, I'm gonna. This is two times in about 35 seconds that I'm addressing something.
What are you dressing?
I'm going to address my Facebook age.
Facebook age.
It says like, and we had. I think it was Gemma made like the coolest little cartoon thing for my birthday, and she was wishing me a happy 29th or something birthday. But that was because you started something, but also my date of birth on Facebook is wrong. Um, I'll get into that in a different
Patterson says
live
Dane's
stream.
25.
Pardon?
Patterson says Dane is 25.
Um, I would say mentally, but no, I'm definitely way younger than that mentally. No, I am 35 years young. I'm 5 years away from 40. But 40 is the new 16. So honestly, I think
It could
I'm
be,
doing
yeah.
good.
In short, I'm older than Dane.
Kim's Dane's soul is 85. Kim, you are very right.
I would
And
agree
and
with
yeah, so it was Gemma. It was a really cool cartoon thing. I still have that, by the way. I want to get that blown up into a thing, and I'll just tell people that it was on my 29th birthday that you made it for me.
that. 29's a good year.
29 was it?
29's a good year.
You know what? 29 was a good. 28 was a horrible year for me. Like it started off about as bad years can start off because of the fact that I had been lying about my age for long enough that I actually forgot what my real age was. So when I turned 27, I thought I was turning 26. Like
that was me this year.
really, you spaced on a year?
Yeah, because I started doing some, because this year's been a bit of a write-off, and it's like not like a write-off, but as far as like some professional career stuff where you're just like, I don't really know what is going on anymore. And as far as like doing some time math to things, because like I'm closer to 40 and 30 at this point, I totally like lost a year.
Let me ask you, because it messed with, I'm not even joking, like I'm not exaggerating. It really messed with my day for like a good couple days. Like I was
Like you
I
felt
was
like you had an
messed
extra
up
year?
about it. But that I was messed up at 27. Did it mess with you? Although
yeah,
you're,
like,
you're much less
I
like
felt good, 'cause I
dramatically
felt like I had an
emotional than me.
I felt like I had 1 year to 2 years to figure something out, and then I felt like I had like 2 to 3 years to figure something out. And the thing is, and I don't know if this makes sense or if it even matters, but I always think of 3-year chunks as 1,000 days to do something. And so for me, it's a lot easier to go like, okay, I got 1,000 days to figure something out or to work at something or whatever. And
That's terrifying to me.
difference from, oh, you want to know? It's also terrifying because I keep a journal and stuff like that. And one of the things that I do in the journal is like think of the age of 65 and then just do the math on how many days. If it all ended at 65, how many days do you have? And every day you lose.
So a 3-year chunk is 6. And then we
365
got to
times.
figure out like because it's 365. So
Yeah.
anyways, point being, yeah. That's
So yeah, I have the math in my journal, so it's just like how many days that I have.
seriously? You have a countdown to your 65 in your journal?
Just because it helps motivate me. You're seeing this is the inner workings of what
Okay,
goes
but
on
at
up here.
this is kind of a good chat on the difference in personalities, because like what motivates you, that would terrify me. I have okay, one of the coolest, oh, where's my phone? One of the coolest things,
Can't walk in those pants.
I just wanted a reason. I put my phone over there specifically for the reason that I'd have to actually get up in these pants and show them off. But no, I have my buddy Benny. He is one of the coolest dudes that I know and sends me every once in a while, and he does this with all his friends. He has a brain.
Oh yeah.
I've told you guys about these before,
Yeah.
but like he has a brain that I don't understand. Like he has numbers in his head and just like he just remembers these numbers. Peg like army matey, I say har. But anyways, so he sent me one the other day, and I still haven't replied to him. So if you're watching, Benny, I'm sorry. But he said, dude, if your favorite song of all time is Man on the Moon by REM, today is your lucky day. Andy Kaufman, who was born on January 7th, 1949, and who died on May 16th, 1984, was alive for exactly 12,903 days. May 7th, 1985, my birthday, was exactly 12,903 days ago and counting. Yay, move over, Kaufman.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, like I could read these forever. Like
Just some weird stats.
I love it. Well, it's always that. It's always like how many days old I am versus how many days old somebody else that died. So he'll message me on people's death birthday or death day, and
Death day.
their death day, and tell me that I'm now older than them. So step away, step off.
I just want to clear this up. Liz is saying, I'm proof that life does not end. I'm not saying life ends at 65. I'm not saying that at all. I just, like, for some reason, when people listen to, they're just like, just pick a number. Because the thing is, if you don't have deadlines, you often don't get things done.
No, and I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, so it's like, that's one of the things. Like, I have certain deadlines at 40 and I have deadlines at 50 and 60, but like I just thought that was an interesting number, just because I think if I was to put like the countdown to 40, it'd be like way too quick.
So now hold on, you have deadlines for those years, but then like, so after 65 is your goal is just like,
I'm just saying the die. Pool. Just saying the pool after that.
It's like, just stay alive. You see Mike and he's like avoiding stepping on cracks and stuff as he's walking down the sidewalk.
I'll be like at 65 I'll be like, I don't know if we're still have phones, but like, hey Dane, I'll be pizza phone by the pool. Like, I think I'm ready to get back behind the kit. I know you fired me 7 times, but I'm not mad. I was just disappointed. I was just disappointed because I thought I was doing a good job. New drummer's way better in practices and stuff. And
man,
he's good. He's not annoying.
No, but if it was that case, then by that point it would be like the new drummer would be like a one-armed 5-year-old or something like that. That was the new trend, and we were trying to catch her a YouTube.
I'll run merch. I'll run merch too. I'll play drums and I'll run merch. How about that? How about that? I'll sell some shirts.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this one's good. My grandma kicked my butt when I said, you're older than Lucky Charms. So my question to that, Caleb, how old is Lucky Charms? Like, do you have the date specific? I don't know why I say these things and then I expect that I'm going to get like a real-time answer. And it always takes a little bit.
It's going to take a minute.
Though I will say this hard line for the internet, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but like
game changer.
It is making a huge difference.
Yeah, I'm hardwired in here too now.
Well, and it makes me feel like Terminator or something. 50 years old a few years ago. Okay. So that's not even that much of like that's not even really telling somebody they're that old.
Yeah, we're older than the internet right now.
How old was your grandma at the time? Because, okay, maybe we're delving too much into this grandma thing. Caleb's grandma's going to watch this and she's going to slap me.
March 20th, 1964. Belinda saying, all right, youngins, I'm 53 and probably the oldest in here. Life just gets frickin' better.
Who said that?
Melinda.
Oh, I didn't see.
Melinda's living it up, though. You show up in my Facebook feed. You're living it up. So.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is like, that's not. I wouldn't consider that old. Like, definitely, especially not now. Maybe when I was like 10, I would have considered that old.
Yeah. No, like to me.
Especially these days, like.
I'm trying to think of a way to word this. Like to me, like, it's all about having a reason to get out of bed in the morning. You know,
the reason I said that is because like I think my dad is 62 and my mom's 64, I think. Well, my dad was born in 58, so that would be 62. Yeah. And like I was saying to Jen today, like he's got a better closet than I do. He's more in style than I am. So like and like they're still going as if they were 20. Whereas, I think maybe 15, 20 years ago, most people would be retired because wasn't it Freedom 55?
I think so. And then I think there's Freedom 45 in Trailer Park Boys.
No, it was Freedom 35.
It was Freedom 35?
It was Freedom 35 for the Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, I thought it was Freedom 45.
But they were on a totally different level.
They had a scheme going.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they were going for the big dirty. See, that's the only thing that I don't like about Facebook and YouTube grabbing on the cuss words. Cause man, I could rock a Trailer Park Boy right now.
Yeah,
but
the
I'd have to,
algorithm.
like,
I'm always on the guys about the algorithm doesn't like cuss words on here.
well, it's not just you; it's the algorithm that's on us. But either way,
That's what because
yeah.
it doesn't show it to anybody.
I was just trying to take the
thing.
blame away from you. I don't want to blame you for
It does the
everything.
thing.
We all love the trailer. I don't think there's anyone that even my parents, like my dad loves the Trailer Park Boys. Like he doesn't watch it like I watch it, but and again, I went to go do you can't do Bubbles or Ricky without swearing. So
It does miss a little bit.
we'll throw like a link up or something, and for those that don't know Trailer Park Boys, just go watch some. Or honestly, just look up a bunch of GIFs. Just type in Trailer Park Boys.
How did you get on Trailer Park Boys? How did we get on
You
Trailer
did.
Park?
Freedom 35.
Oh, we're talking. Okay, back to the topic. Yeah.
Bam, I'm on point. I swear it's the pants. When the blood vessels in my legs are restricted this much, it forces all of the blood up to my brain, and I can think a lot.
Phrasing.
You can swear on here, Don, but it does like the way that the algorithm, you can explain it, Mike.
Everything you say when you're on a Facebook live stream or on a live stream in general, it kind of gets turned into captions, and those captions get filtered. So there's certain things that if you say them, it just won't put your stuff. Raptors won. That's why we started 15 minutes late. I had the box score off to the side here.
Okay.
But yeah, they're live another day. That's why we're 15 minutes later, because I had to have the game on for a bit, and then it went to double overtime. But yeah, every word that you say gets turned into captions and it gets filtered, and then if there's stuff that Facebook doesn't like, it won't push you through into other people's feeds. That being said, if you've got like 400,000 fans on here, it'll still blast it out to enough of them initially that it won't be a big deal. You can swear all day if you've got that kind of audience. So basically what I'm saying is, Dane, if you want to swear, we need like 400,000 likes on this page.
Well, and I don't mind having, once again, let's bring this full circle.
We got to get this up
goals.
to cuss numbers. Yeah.
We have goals.
Actually, I'm going to put together...
We need to up our cuss numbers.
Put together a graphic.
And then,
the cussometer to see what we need to get into.
Well, I'm telling you right now, my bubbles is pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I do a pretty good bubbles. So get it up to 400,000 people. I see how crazily
we heard it today.
We're
going to race to 400,000 so that Dane can just speak freely
just
on
rock
here.
a bubbles on here.
And Zuckerberg won't be trying to quiet him, trying to shut him down.
I'm realizing right this second that my computer's not plugged in. I thought it was. Go ahead.
It's all good.
I don't want it to.
Full disclosure, I had the game off to the side because I needed to see what was gonna happen there.
Were you were double?
I just had it off to the side. It's like I had like a private box or something, and I could just keep that up there, and it was fine.
What was really good was the fact that like I didn't know you had. I saw your eyes flicker up to the top.
Well, because the last like 0.5 seconds seemed to take forever, and then like nothing was going on, and then like I was checking the box score, and I was hitting refresh a couple times to see what it was doing.
Don just asked what's going to happen come October 1st. What's happening October 1st? Is that when they're doing all this Facebook?
Funny you
hubbub
should
with
bring
cutting
that
down
up.
on
I would
things?
love to talk more about that. So as of I think the new music Facebook guidelines, or yeah, basically they're not wanting people to share content that has music or live music in it. So the idea where you're probably going to need to move that somewhere else, and that's something we've been working on anyways for the last few months, moving over to YouTube. Like this is broadcasting on YouTube right now as well. So we'll probably be seeing you there after October 1st, because the risk of having any music in the background could get you shut down. So yeah, I'm testing something. So the idea that if bands are trying to live stream and whatnot, and it just getting the stream shut down, but also as part of the notice that they put out saying they may actually like ban or delete pages. That's a problem.
Wow, I didn't even.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't read long enough to see that
So
part.
so my take on that is like it's up to them if they want to do that. I think if you've got multiple offenses, but my thing too is I think maybe some of the publishers or distribution platforms are having trouble. I don't want to say monetizing, but just like they're having trouble figuring out whose music is whose, and it's classified as a broadcast. So as far as the rights and the royalties and stuff, it's not being cataloged properly. YouTube's really good at it. There could be another platform that pops up that has a better idea of maybe the band, if they do play songs, they could, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, if bands are playing songs, they could catalog those songs after to let the platform know which songs were performed, be it acoustic or covers or whatever, so that any monetization can go to go through the proper channels. But
Yeah.
I think they just don't want anyone doing that. Yeah, it's one of those things where like the more I think about it, it's like I get why Facebook doesn't want that. So it doesn't want music on here.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing is it's what a crazy crappy time for it to happen.
It's money.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and
and
it's not to say they
that's
don't have
that's
money,
kind of
but
what it
it's
comes
like,
down to is
yeah.
everyone's scrounging at this point
Yeah.
or scrambling.
And Caleb's saying, nephew, Marcus, like I don't think I honestly, like, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Caleb, you just got us deleted. Now he's gonna shut this whole
But
thing
yeah,
down.
it's like, I was gonna go on another tangent, but like I don't think it's a bad thing. I think there's other ways that bands and musicians and there's other platforms that might be better. It's just it's hard because everyone's on Facebook.
Well, and like
And
you said, it is something that it might open up a door for a new kind of platform.
so
Or like I don't know. Call me crazy in hoping that they would roll it out with something, and Facebook would basically say, "Oh, you're not allowed to do this on Facebook anymore, but here's this new thing that we're rolling out that you can do it on this."
yeah, so again, there's still a few weeks off for things to make sense of what Facebook's actual plan is, and then like anything, because like nobody reads the terms of agreement for anything that we sign up for. So
That's not true. I read all of them. I don't remember what I'm reading as I'm reading it, but I'll read at least a paragraph.
No one reads terms and agreements in entirety. So my thing is, if the Facebook music guidelines was that serious, they would be smashing everybody over the head with it, like for this entire month. And the thing is, even with the to segue, even with the whole visa thing, with the cost increase of processing visas in the U.S., I knew about that like 4 or 6 weeks ago because the AFM sent an email out about it.
Yeah.
But the amount of messages I've got from individuals from Canada and US and people talking about it online, and it's like, it's pretty close. You know, if you're going to get your paperwork in, like you got basically a week to do it. But like, I don't think it's a big deal, to be honest. But the amount of like, it just kind of hits this tipping point where people seem to care about it. And like, I'm wondering if in the next couple of weeks, the whole music thing on Facebook, if it's going to pick up and if people are going to start freaking out about it. Because like, again, like you know, you can plan for, what could happen, or you could make plans for what'll probably happen. And again, like I think this is a good opportunity for a lot of bands to take this live content and take it off of Facebook and go to a better platform, like Twitch or like YouTube,
Yeah.
and just start doing your broadcasting there. So
Fair noosh.
Don's saying, seriously, I think they're shutting everyone down so they can start cashing in on their own music business. That's the thing. I think like Facebook's been a step ahead on a lot of things. And anything that they're not a step ahead on, they seem to just buy it and take it. Because even TikTok, it's like they were behind on that a little bit, and then they just introduced Reels, and it's like, okay, well now we've got that. So there's a lot of branches that can come off of this topic.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's funny because like bands need to have these conversations, and like bands don't seem to talk about a lot of this stuff. It's like,
well, I think a lot of it is either don't want to or don't know really where to start, because that is for me, like if you were somebody just kind of that had like a personal Facebook and didn't really get into what all of the different socials were about, and then you kind of just got introduced to them out of nowhere, and I feel like it'd be like trying to learn Chinese or something like that, and just seeing all the symbols and being like,
well,
okay,
it's just,
so,
it just seems like a bit of a thing. This is a really good question here. Jeremy's saying, what about previous posts with music? That is a great question, and we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's, again, I'm running a bit of a test right now.
I didn't even really think about that.
I'm running a bit of a test right now because I'm curious to see what happens.
That's why you got that brilliant music on the background?
Yeah, that's why I'm playing live right now. One-handed. I'm curious to see what it does, if it can
We see you, Cindy.
play no hands right now. No, I'm curious to see if it can figure out what's going on in the background and flag it, and if it does anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they'll deal with anything that's before, because again, not a lawyer or legalist or legalologist or anything, but I'm just thinking that like it's too much of a headache to go back and go through everything, opposed to just from starting October 1st anything onwards. And probably with the distributors and the publishers, they would just have a truce and go, you know what, it's too much to weed through, so
Yeah.
figure it out later.
Yeah.
Don's saying, what if someone shares music on your page? I think the original post is the one that's going to get flagged or muted. I know with the gaming, like NHL 20, there's certain songs that get copyright strikes, so they just get flagged, and then my stream gets muted during that. And then
See, that's the thing. I thought that it was already doing that with other posts. I thought that this was strictly for live streaming.
Yeah, no, the live stuff too. It's like they just don't want music in general. So like, question is, maybe you could just go on without any instruments, and people could like just sing the lyrics, and just percussion. So any atonal instrument.
So
and
basically, like spoken word.
Could be a side project, Dane.
These would be the pants that I'd be wearing.
Those pants are screaming.
I would need that brilliant looking light tree behind you. But
thank you. It's pretty brilliant.
But I think my attire at this moment, maybe a little bit more of a frilly shirt. Yeah.
Caleb's saying, what if we play our own music? They
That's
don't
what
want.
we thought.
That's the thing. They don't.
But it's anything with an ID or what's that? What's our RFID?
ISRC. No, that's. I'm trying to find, because I actually have the.
What's RFID? Isn't that the barcode?
Yeah, no, it's on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, the main part of this, I guess I got the thing right here. We want you to be able to enjoy videos posted by family and friends. However, if you use videos on our products to create a music listening experience for yourself or for others, your videos will be blocked and your page, profile, or group may be deleted. This includes live. So that's the main paragraph I think is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think it's one of those things that this is just I think in the next like year, maybe two, there's going to be a lot of changes that everybody's going to have to kind of get used to.
Well, this year actually, this is a good segue.
Yeah.
Like live streaming, the turning point for live streaming was in March, April. I think a lot of people thought it would always be from the gaming side, but the gaming side was growing. But when musicians couldn't go and tour, all of a sudden everybody was live streaming all the time. So you can imagine how much bandwidth that was eating up. You know, with the servers and the platform and just like where people are. And again, I've got other opinions on why, if I'm Facebook, I'm not a huge fan of people watching live streams like this. There's issues with their bottom line for people hanging out here for an hour. But the idea of like anything they probably had planned, they probably went into the Monday morning meeting and were just like, we got to deal with this now. Because this is not good that everyone's live streaming all the time here. We need to figure out.
Yeah, the word kibosh comes.
We need
to
a
mind.
way so that we can monetize on this, and we can incentivize the musicians so that they can monetize on it. Bill's saying radio frequency identification. I was going to say that, but something was not right about that in my brain. And yeah, RFID.
Oh, sorry,
Like
it took me
chips.
a minute.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. Took me a minute. I didn't even. I just,
RFIDs. Yeah.
I kept reading it over and over.
Melinda's saying, didn't YouTube just redo their algorithms though for artists? Their YouTube is constantly tweaking their algorithm. And once you're in there, you're good. And even with the real talk, even with the amount of times that we're trying to figure out how to name things, like come up with a naming convention for our videos and our live streams and stuff, it's just you're constantly tweaking stuff to try to find a way so that it works with what's going on. So, but the segue from that, from all the bands live streaming and stuff, last little bit here. There's a venue called Sneaky D's here in Toronto, and that was an old standard as far as like places that bands would play. I played there several times. Jordane's played there as well. So one of those like decent sized venues. I would say capacity there's probably 250 or 300, and it's just a big long room. The one side is just a big old bar. There's a pool table at the back. Like the stage is like this high. It's one of those types of places where if you're
Amazing nachos.
yeah, downstairs they had the bar and the restaurant and stuff, but the upstairs was where the venue was, and paperwork went through to basically turn that into condos, and it's just like, well, we can always argue like Toronto's got enough condos as it is, and then we could argue that most of the condos sit empty because of foreign money coming in and just buying them and then leaving them, but it's like this is the year if anyone wants to buy up that land and develop on it, because like just the music industry is just not even struggling, it's just crippled right now. So these venues trying to just get going, and if you also sell food, it's like we've had nothing in Canada. Like
Yeah.
like I we have drive-in shows, but like I don't think we have like shows back yet.
No. And I just got off the phone yesterday morning with the band leader for a band that I play with, that we do like 60s tribute type stuff, and we just got word from another kind of prominent music venue in the west end of Toronto. Well, actually, it's basically Mississauga, but Rockin' Docs, and they're back hiring bands now, but they're not only like before it was a $5 cover, now it's a $20 cover, and I can't remember what the number the cap was. Like they're not letting in a fraction of the people that were there before. No dance floor. Which that was the one thing that I always remember about a lot of the clubs that I've played is like you're playing a Friday or a Saturday night. The dance floor is busy. Like you don't play slow songs. And that was definitely that was something I was kind of surprised to see. But they also that was the other thing is plexiglass in between all of the tables. plexiglass at the front of the stage. So I'll be playing in like a little hamster ball. Kind of excited for that, actually.
Yeah, it's difficult. Difficult times for the venues. In the chat, any venues around you that have closed down or are in danger of closing down? So we'll say we're trying to figure out some plans for early next year, and was chatting with the agent about stuff, and straight up I was just like, what's closed? Like, what is closed that it's going to surprise me? And he started rhyming off a few of the venues that we've played, and especially when Dead Set, it's just like we played some venues multiple times, and you hear that they're closing or in danger of closing or closed down already. It's just like, then again, like it sucks because it's like people with money can just buy stuff up, you know, which again, like it is business, you know, it's that's the way the market is, where if you've got the money, you can make the most of this, that's for sure. But you know, it is tough these days. When I saw the thing for Sneaky D's, I was just like, because also the Rivoli, I think, is getting sold or got sold.
Yeah,
I think
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, that was a couple months ago. They kind of they put it up for sale or they did sell it, but you know, it's just it's tough because it's one of those things.
Nolan's one of the
Nolan's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough because like when I read the chat with this stuff, and it's like I'll be honest, like I'm at a point where like I'm not going out to nearly as much local shows as I would have, say, 10 years ago. You know, I was 19 or something. But the idea of like people wanting these venues to stay there because they were there when they were younger, they were there, like they're familiar to them. And the idea of that changing, it's like they're really hating on the city, and it's just like, well, you know, dare I say, and I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but like I don't believe the Toronto music scene is as strong as the Toronto music scene thinks it is. And I only say that because of traveling. When you see other markets and how strong they are and how supportive their scene is, and the you know, not just the fans, but the quality of the bands and acts that are coming out of some of those pockets, and you're just like this is strong. And when you see with some of the stuff in Toronto, and it's like people are struggling to get people out to shows, and the bands are getting older and the fans are getting older, so they don't want to go out to the shows like they used to. And there and one of the comments that I made, and just like, are we just getting older? Because I don't know what's replacing us. And the person who actually put the thread together, he's just like, nothing's replacing us because the kids can't afford to live in Toronto.
Yeah,
you're not getting art. You're not like when I was 17. It's like I could find a place to live in Toronto for $350 a month.
Yeah,
you know, and have, you know, a set of drumsticks or a bass guitar or something to actually go do things. But it's like, if you're 22 and you want to be a musician and you're maybe not going to school, like Toronto is really expensive. And I
was thinking. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna cut you off and go a different way. Keep going with your.
No, just to finish the thought. I'm just like, 'cause I tell them just like, this is back before. I'd say like, move to Hamilton, move to Oshawa, like move somewhere where like you're within striking distance of Toronto, but you're able to take advantage of the lower overhead, and and you need a vehicle. Like it's just like having a vehicle and playing in a band or playing music. It just like, the first day I was able to because I didn't have a vehicle for the longest time, the first day I was able to put my drums in the car and go to somewhere, like it was one of those moments. I'm like, I didn't need to arrange a ride. I didn't need to like figure things out. I could just put my stuff in the car and go. And it's like, when you're in Toronto, it's really expensive. You know, so there's a lot of things. If you want to be in the arts or do music, it's like you got to find your pocket of like-minded individuals, but also your low overhead.
Yeah.
It's again.
I was just gonna say that I was thinking about it the other day, and it kind of made me, because I remember when I was growing up in high school, it was never sitting with my guidance counselor. My guidance counselor never told me. And not that my guidance counselor wasn't cool and awesome and whatever, but she never told me that I could make money and a living, like a career, being a musician. And I'm not talking about touring and stuff like we do. I'm talking about, pardon me, like just gigging musicians. You know, playing parties, weddings, bar mitzvahs, all of that, like session work. No one ever told me that that was a possibility, and in the last, I think maybe 10 years, I think the kids are being told that that is a possibility, and they're being, you know, pushed, or not pushed, but encouraged to go to you know, music schools to learn the you know, the career of music. And I feel like I'm kind of scared for the fact that it's kind of, I think right now, going to maybe push them back towards, like, no, you can't make a career in music because there's nowhere to play. And
Yeah.
and not only that, but most people, like, I've had a little bit of work, people sending songs being like, hey, can you sing some vocals on this, or play some guitar on this or whatnot, but nothing like it used to be. And I think mainly just because everybody's doing everything themselves at this point, or
Yeah.
at least they're starting to try to. Oh, I saw a good question just a minute ago. Caleb asked something. What are our favorite present day bands and favorite bands growing up? The present day band thing was the thing I thought was interesting, because if I'm being completely honest, so for those of you playing the drinking game, that is your first for tonight. I don't know. I don't know who I would say my favorites right now are. Like, there's a lot that I like. You know what I did hear was the new, I don't know how new it is. Maybe it's not all that new. It's only recently that I've been driving and listening to, like, radio around here. But the Pretty Reckless tune.
Oh, the
I'm drawing a blank right now. And because I can hear the piano music, I'm drawing even more of a blank.
no, it's
Okay.
on the Death by Rock and Roll, that one.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know how it goes in my head, but one of those, we played this game before where I got the wrong line in my head, and I'm like, it's
Well,
not
and
it's not Cannonball.
that line does remind me the ba 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 da da
Yeah,
da
yeah.
da da da. It does remind me of something else, and I can't remember what it is. But no, I heard that. I think it was this morning. I was driving around, and that, I love songs that make you want to jack your volume up. Another one, and this isn't a new one, but it is, like, it's still current ish. It's in the last 20 years. Is who are the guys that do Sail? AWOL Nation.
AWOL Nation, yeah.
That's another
Their
one
last
that
single was weird, but I liked it.
I heard it because, remember, Mike, when we were oh, who were we out with, and they always used it as their sound, like their sound check tune,
Oh yeah, yeah.
while they were ringing out the speakers. I think it was Disturbed, actually.
Yeah, you might be right.
I'm pretty sure it was them, and like, my gosh, it came on in the car the other day, and I turned it up loud enough that, whew, it got me rumbling.
It's a good tune. Sonically,
Yeah.
it's a good. The Sail's a good tune as well, sonically.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Love
as
Take Me
far
Down.
as far as new stuff, and again, it's not the a lot of the rock stuff. Like, it definitely comes across my speakers and stuff. That it's not new anymore. Last Tame Pal record, it's been on repeat still a lot while I'm working on stuff. I love that band.
Love Take Me Down. Maybe that's...
That's the other Pretty Reckless song, I think. Yeah.
You know what? That might be actually the one that I'm thinking of right now.
Okay. Because the last single was Death by Rock and Roll.
Oh well, then maybe no. It's definitely whatever the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, ha! I I just went to look it up, and it came up with "Love Take Me Down to the Streets." Oh goodness gracious! Dead by April. No, I haven't heard of those, Cindy. Or them. Sorry. I'll look that up. They're from Sweden. There's some awesome music that comes from, I want to say country. It's not continent, right?
It's country.
That country? Yeah.
Country.
Yeah. Isn't Mother, aren't they from Sweden?
I thought Mother was from Canada.
Really? Maybe he just looks Swedish. One isn't
Yeah, they're from Vancouver.
Aren't
It's from South Africa.
Wow, I'm not hitting at all today.
You will not take South African dance rap bands for 1,000.
Who's European, Cindy? Mother?
No, Mother's from Vancouver. They're Canadian.
Oh,
I only know that because of like. Try to word this properly. Because of the Canadian music scene, and there's certain bands that just keep kind of coming through, sort of thing.
Hill did one of the coolest videos that I've ever seen for Mother, and it was Daddy's Got a Gun, I think it was called, or Bang Bang or something like that.
Sounds familiar.
Such a cool video and a cool song. I like the song, but the video I liked more. Yeah. Just for those that don't know, Hill co-wrote the song. Good God. I'll get back to you on this one.
I just want to throw a bit trivia too. Hill and I played in Hill's band for a bit. I also played in a band with Hill and Dane for a bit.
Yes.
Till I was let go.
Well, and that was you played. With
I was
Hill
actually not. I was actually brought back in.
You.
I was brought back in.
You played with Hill before I even knew you.
Yeah.
And
I played in Dane's all-female backing band.
Yes. And we didn't even try and like throw makeup or like.
No.
Mike was fully the only dude member of an all-girl band.
I'll say I felt like such a phony playing in that band.
Why?
I felt like such a fraud because it's like, again, like I know the music that I'm playing, and we always half joke about it, but like that's the truth. I know the songs that I'm playing. I'm not like a jammy musician. It's like, what are the songs? How do they go? Put me on a click and we're good. But I still remember like one of the first rehearsals when I was brought back in. The lead guitarist, Donna Grantis, I remember like I was counting it off. And what do? You count to 4 because that's what you do. And she like stopped me. She's like, you can just give me 2. And I'm like, awesome. And then like the thing is, I remember too, like as we were playing, I'm like, of course you just need 2 because the duration between 1 and 2 is the same in 2 and 3. And
you know the crazy thing is we have a lot of count-ins now that are just 2.
Just 2, yeah. And there was one where I just like I really got to put this to 4 because like even I'm like, whoa, this is big. It's like you sit in the ride and it goes and it's like, okay, no, this burn. We need a little bit of wind up here. But I just remember her like I was counted off and she's like 2's enough. And it was just the way that she looked, like, because it wasn't like condescending or like mean or anything. It was just like 2's good. Because like, again, not to bring it full circle, but we've got so much time on this rock hurling through the universe, and she's like, I don't want to waste time counting to 4 here when I know what's going on. And yeah, like Hill super solid and Heather super solid. Bass player. Tip my tongue.
Jen.
No, not Jen. I don't think
Calvin.
Calvin, yeah, and Calvin too, where he was just like ridiculous bass player.
Calvin was a monster at one point because there was the rehearsal that he showed up with his bass strung upside down.
Yeah.
Just because he went to a gig and there was a friend of his that had like recently started getting more into bass And so he's like, man, I envy you because like you're at that stage of learning an instrument where like everything's still exciting. He's like, I'd have to string my bass upside down to like get that same excitement. And so he strung his bass upside
Yeah, and
down and
he's still
played an entire
killer.
gig with it.
He's still
And
killer.
then showed up to rehearsal. And he was like, well, I guess this is just what I got.
Yeah, no, he's yeah, just a killer player. But I just remember like being in that room because like everyone's like, and again, it's that jamming ability, and like I have an ear, I can play along, I just don't like to. It's one of those things.
I
Like
was going to say, it's not that you can't, it's that you don't want to.
it's like
Because
it's the same thing with like shinny hockey. Like when you, it's one thing for me to get together with friends and play hockey, but like I don't try. So while I might be decent if we're playing a game, I really phone it in when I'm playing with just friends and it's just for fun. It like it doesn't really mean anything. Not
it's
that,
more just kind of skating around.
yeah,
for you at
exactly.
that
So
point.
it's just like wow, it's Lanker's really dogging it out there. It's like yeah, because it's I don't want anyone to get hurt and like I don't want to try because it doesn't mean anything. I'm just here for a skate. It's fine. So the idea was like if I was jamming, you'd be like wow, like it's really timey over there. He's really not doing good stuff.
Mike's
But-
like
but-
he's got like Facebook news feed
But
just
yeah, it's like-
scrolling automatically on his phone.
It's like
at the side.
I would do studio stuff. Like I would practice. I put my hours in that way. But just like, between like Dawn also went on to go and play in Prince's band. Was it Third Eye Girl?
Third Eye Girl, yeah.
Yeah, and it's the things like that where you're like, okay, she's good enough to play in his band. One of those things, and like I knew she was good, and like again, you don't see the full extent of how good somebody actually is as they get put in that situation, but it just like hearing the talk between musicians about gigs and learning this and rehearsing after for this sort of thing, and I'm like, I'm gonna go back to the studio and turn things up, turn things down, and practice the songs, but it's
But
just,
at the
it's just
same
different.
time, just to, I don't know. It's I think it's apples and oranges though, because like yeah, everybody was going on to do something different, but you were also going to record and mix albums that went on to win Juno. You got that fun statue.
I do. I've got a doorstop. I've got one. I could use another.
Doorstop.
I could use another. I'm not gonna be honest.
One of the most gangster things that I ever saw was a producer that I worked with that had a Grammy, and it was broken, and he never fixed it. It just sat broken on his shelf, and I thought that was the most gangster thing ever. It's like, yeah, I got a Grammy, but I don't really give a crap about it.
No, it's one of the, it's yeah, it's still good. It's still a good thing. But it's back to the musicians thing. I just remember there's a couple times I was just looking around the room, just like there's a lot of talent in this room, and like again, I could show up and hold my own, but it's just like it was. I think to go back to the idea of people being career musicians, it's like you had people that studied their instrument not just individually, but also in like an educational structure as well. And in the idea where like I think so too with the three of us, like Brendan included, it's like we grew up in environments that didn't necessarily encourage us to do music as a career, but we weren't discouraged from doing music as a career. And I think there's also, we had people around us, and this is like another deeper topic too. I'm a big believer of like, you need to have someone successful at what you're trying to do in your circle so that you can see that it can be done. Professionals usually be professionals. Tradesmen usually breed tradesmen. And if you've got someone around that is in music, and if you can see that someone is successful in what they're doing, and I think as much as there's that pocket of Peterborough that had a lot of success in the beginning, because you had 3 Days Grace come out of it, you had I Mother Earth come out of it, you had Neil Young not too far from there. You had these musicians that kind of came out of this general area. The idea where someone like Brendan that was working with Walst, and Walst's brother was in 3 Days and they were doing really well, so of course the parents and like the elders can go, no, there's a path here. Like they can see it, but if that wasn't there, then they might not actually see it. So like I know, like I come from a musical family, and it's like it was never looked at as a weird thing to do music, and especially when you hit a point where you're actually able to pay your bills with it. it looks good, sort of thing.
I still think everybody except my parents and my parents and my sister and my brother, but everybody else in my family probably thinks I'm crazy. Maybe a couple aunts or uncles might think that I'm not nuts, but
But there'll be a point where like it flips, where all of a sudden, oh, I get it.
like you said, they're not discouraging. No,
Yeah.
nobody. They may think I'm nuts, but nobody thinks that Well, I don't know actually. That being said, maybe,
Well, yeah, no,
maybe they
that's
do
one of
think
those
I'm
things
just-
too. You always have people asking, well, how do you like pay your bills? And the other thing too, it's like I love to talk about it when people are just like when people ask the question like, well, who have you worked with? And you're just like, well, I've worked with nobody you know. And in their mind, they're just like, well, I guess it'd be like asking a surgeon. You're like, oh, well, who have you operated on? And you're just like, well, like lots of people. Like there's been lots of successful surgeries that still have a job and able to do this. But just because you don't know who I've actually operated on doesn't mean that I'm not seriously a surgeon here. So.
I feel like when I do hit like that point where I say somebody that I've played for or played with or something that people that people know who it is, and their eyes kind of light up like, oh, I actually know who that person is. I get like a little giddy inside.
Yeah, no, it helps. It helps.
And then I say that name like 30 times in the next 2 days.
You're like wearing their shirt.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just got it tattooed on my arm.
You're like, oh, I just got a text from Mark. Just 1 second. Let's get back to him here. 1 second. I'll just call you back later.
Yeah, it's just it's Al on the phone.
Yeah, just.
Pacino, but it's just what it is.
But yeah, no, I don't even know how we got on that topic, but yeah, it's just
No, Mike Patterson.
path-
I have not played with Tom Morello. I haven't. That would be wicked. He is. I don't know if I've said this, but he is one of my favorite guitar players. But no, I haven't had the privilege to jam with the Elo of Morel.
Oh, I don't even know how we got on that topic. Oh, I think we're just talking about path for musicians. No, but that's the thing too. I can wrap this up soon, but I think like, and actually going back, like way back to the beginning of this live stream tonight, where we're talking about bullying, and again, like you can surround yourself with people that are positive and support what you're doing, or you can find your own tribe of people that get what you're doing and want to support you. And again, you can feed off that energy for each other. And the idea that like musicians these days, people who want to be in a band or just creatives in general, it's like you can find lots of resources. And the thing, even with YouTubers these days, it's like, even though you're not talking to them every day, if they're posting several times a week, that's your communication with them. If they're helping with any advice on career stuff or path stuff or things that are working, things that are not working, it's like, if you want to do something these days, especially if you're, I'd say, in that sweet spot of mid-teens to mid-20s where you can decide if you want to do this or not.
Yeah.
Because I think that's kind of, and you might agree with me, I think that's the biggest drop-off point I've seen from musicians. Because there's lots of musicians I thought were way better than me, and they just didn't want it bad enough.
No, I agree. Actually, some of the best guitar players that I've ever seen, I don't know what they're doing right now, but they're definitely not playing music for a living.
Yeah. And it's the idea of like, if you want, like getting back to what you're saying, Dane, of like musicians seeing that there's a path these days. Because like if you said that to your high school teacher, your guidance counselor, no, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
So the idea where like, if you want this stuff these days, these newer minds can find people to support their ideas and help them find ways to move forward with it. And again, if you got a computer and internet access, like you're way ahead of where I was when I was 14. Mm-hmm. Like we had dial-up internet and Angel Fire websites, but it's like nowhere near the resources that we have these days. And
I get nostalgic thinking about like I remember having the cassette, like the cassette boombox thing.
Yeah.
That had and you were lucky if you had one that had an input, like a 1/4-inch input, and then you could actually like plug one of those crappy microphones, the realistic ones from Radio Shack. You could plug one of those into it and actually record onto a tape.
Do what you gotta do.
Well, and I'm sure that you guys figured out ways to like stretch that, but
oh, dude, a chapter in the book would be my primitive recording setups. would just be pages of the things that I did to get
To get
talent
multi-tracking.
recorded. Oh God, there's things where someone would look at that and be like, "Did that even work?" And be like, "Yeah,"
Yeah.
because I plugged it in and started doing stuff, and it was like, "Yeah, this is kind of working."
That's
But
funny.
no, it's just
How old were you when you first edited something?
first
Like,
edited something.
yeah, that you had played, like went back and tweaked things.
First I can remember I would have been probably 14. I was using my Pentium 3 800 PC computer. I think I had 2 gigs of RAM in it, either 2 gigs or 20 gigs of RAM in it. I think it was 20 gigs of RAM, or sorry, of a 20 gig hard drive.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, 20 gig hard drive, and I remember thinking I'll never fill this. And I was using a program called Goldwave because that's the only thing the only recording program I had on the computer, and I pretty much took my dad's SM58 microphone and like jammed it into basically from microphone from XLR down to a 1/8 inch, like so this little tiny.
So you just had connector to connector
Yeah.
to connector to connector.
Basically went down to this. So imagine this plus like a reverse, because I know I've got all this
Well,
stuff
because you
handy.
probably went that to quarter inch,
Yeah, so this to quarter inch.
and then quarter inch
But
to.
that quarter inch went to a female XLR, so I could plug a mic cable into it. So like I've got weight hanging off of this input, and that's what I used because I had 2 channels that I couldn't use the other channel because I only had one microphone jammed into it. But I
Yeah.
would like record drums onto that, and then if I had to do any editing, I would do it in Goldwave and export that wave file, and then I would import that into Fruity Loops, and then I would use
Really?
Fruity Loops. I'd use Fruity Loops as my sequencer.
Ah.
Yeah. So yeah, like it was there. That was like how I really started recording. And again, it's all about accessibility, I think, with kids. It's like if you give kids maybe things accessible for them, they'll mess around with it on their own time, sort of thing. I never had someone like sit down, let's do some recording. It's like, no, I just wanted to try and record drums and see what would happen. And then yeah, from there I went on to Nuendo, and Nuendo was like my first like multi-track recorder I could use, and that's a different page in the book for like moving on
Man.
and stuff. But yeah, I was about 14.
That's crazy. Yeah, I remember that feeling of like the first time being able to record something just by myself. And I swear the only reason I wanted to do it was so that I could take like a tape and give it to a girl or something. Like I just
And we've all got an end goal. We've all got
Yeah.
an end goal.
One, actually, you know what? I remember, oh my gosh, I had kind of forgotten about this, but this was on, I'm pretty sure it was ICQ. Going back to what you were talking about before, I'm almost positive it was ICQ. And I figured out some way to plug a mic in through my stereo system to go. I can't remember how I did it, but I had something going through to my computer so that I could like play for some girl that was on ICQ. And gosh, I was like 11, something like that, 11 or 12. But yeah, that was that was my motivation at the time. It wasn't deep. Like I wasn't trying to like
Well,
change
had her
the world
motivation.
with one song.
One age or another.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good place.
I would say that's a good way to
think
end
that's
it.
pretty
Yeah.
good. Oh, there's a lot of yeah, no, just like the origin for a lot of musicians, like those things where you're just like, this was the moment where I'm like, no, I'm doing the things other people aren't willing to do to get things done, because it's like the amount of time that you spend practicing or learning something for whatever reason and stuff. It's like it's usually at a younger age.
Yeah.
So
No, it's true. I just popped this message up. Jeremy just put up the studio he recorded in 20 years ago is now his house.
now we gotta go to Jeremy's house.
Yeah.
That's an invitation.
First stop on the next run.
Yeah, stopping at Jeremy's house. Mm-hmm. All right, I think I think we should get going here. I'm still like, also the other thing too is like my, I'm trying to wait, what's the word for it? Like I know you probably can't tell, but I'm pretty revved up right now because the Raptors won.
Your
'Cause I was
eyes
like,
are
it
getting
would-
a little bloodshot,
when it
and
went
it's
to the
like I can
double
tell that
overtime.
you've got.
When we went to the double overtime, I'm just like, I can't handle this right now. Like the season could be over, and like I haven't had the Leafs in a while, and like it's just sports isn't good right now for me. I'm still waiting to get back on the ice and stuff. But yeah, the Raptors won, so I need to go decompress a little bit with some ice cream or something.
Just have a bath.
Go for a quick walk and just
Go
take fresh
take
air.
a nice warm bath.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for hopping on here tonight. I enjoy these chats. I think they're good.
I
need
do
to get
too,
Brendan
and
on more of
I
these.
learn a lot. I pretend that I don't, but I do.
It's yeah. I mean, you get Brendan on these because Brendan's got a lot. Brendan's. I don't want to say Brendan's a bit of a sleeper sometimes, but like he's got some stories. You gotta dig sometimes, and you just gotta ask him. Then what happened? Because sometimes
Well, B's one of those guys, I think, that, yeah, like, he won't say anything for a few minutes, and then the second that everyone stops talking long enough, which, when I'm around, is not easy, but the second that I do, that's when, like, the real magic happens, because,
well,
B's got some sleepers.
he's got some stories. So, yeah, thanks everyone for hopping on here tonight.
Thank you, guys.
I want to say a few things in the works, but that's cliche. That's what all bands say. We'll just launch it when we got something. Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, remember to like, subscribe. Again, to everyone, heads up, we're probably moving to YouTube in the near future. Probably after October 1st. So if you don't have a Gmail account, I advise you to get one, and I highly advise you to go in and subscribe to the page there, because that's probably where we're going to be meeting up in the near future.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your evening.
We were almost, like, perfect with that.
It was pretty good. It was
That
close.
was really good, actually. It's all you.
I know. I was trying to make sure I was on the right background there.
Well, and it's funny because we both went the same way. And I thought for sure I was going to go the wrong way.
That's what happens sometimes.
Oh, yeah.